All right, hello everybody. I am such a noob at making these videos. I just recorded the whole thing and realized it wasn't recording. I'm obviously not a YouTuber, uh, so I started over. Let's see here. I've been trading for far too long and not seeing good results. I keep trying to learn more, but I've gotten to the point where I learned too much, I think, and I keep trying flip-flopping different between different strategies and uh, seeing what this person's doing and what that person's doing on YouTube, and maybe that didn't work today, so I'm going to try this instead, and I overtrade, and it's just getting really frustrating for me. So what I'm doing now, and have been for a couple months, is just one trade per day, and it's the opening range breakout. I'm sure you've probably heard of it, but I'm doing the 15-minute opening range breakout on the ES futures, and I do those on the MES micro contracts, and I'll show you why in a minute. But what I've been doing is logging all of these trades, which I mean you've heard before. You're supposed to log your trades and journal your trades, but I've been in the past not very good, or haven't been doing my due diligence and doing that. And honestly, since I've been doing it on this, it's really helped me out and given me confidence, um, that even if a trade doesn't work out, I know what the overall win rate is and expectancy of winning over time, and it helps me to not revenge trade or take trades outside of the rules. Just focusing on these numbers has really helped me out. So this is what I would call my dashboard. I'll go over this more in a second, but I'll show you what the opening range trade is. If you don't know, it's the first 15 minutes after the market opens at 9:30 New York time. I use the Lux Algo Orbi and Targets indicator on TradingView for this. Essentially, it's going to plot out in this gray box the 15-minute opening range, and if it breaks above, you're going to get a green arrow. And if it breaks below, you're going to get a red arrow. And personally, what I've been doing is using the midpoint as my stop and the 1R, which is one range, one half range up from that as my target. And I've also been logging how far this trade will actually go for a maximum range, risk to reward ratio, I guess you could say, up to 2R, just to see if it would be more beneficial to do a 1.5R or 2R trade versus this 1R over time. Um, so this is what I use to view my trades and actually take the signal. I do my executions on NinjaTrader. I will show you how I do that as well, because this might be something that a lot of people don't know, and it might help them out as far as executing these orders. But I'll start from the beginning here, and this indicator I use also plots that 15-minute range, the high and the low and the midpoint of that 15-minute range. So the first thing I do in the morning is at about 9:43, before the market open, before this opening range actually plays out, is I'll take my risk reward tool and I'll measure where my stop, I'll measure that half range, and you can see I got 61 ticks. Um, and these are ticks that I'm calculating here. And what I'll do is go to my spreadsheet, um, and on that trade data tab, I'll put in the amount of ticks that range, half range was. And the reason for that is I'm using it to automatically calculate how many contracts I need to put on to roughly get the risk value that I want for that range. So I have 62 ticks of distance, and I have $420 I'm willing to risk. So to get $420 worth of profit or loss in 62 ticks, it comes out to 5.42 contracts. I just round down or up, depending. But that's where how I calculate what size trade that I'm going to put on, and I have this formula built in that does that for me. I just have to put in the tick value, and it will tell me the amount of contracts. There's indicators and stuff you can buy for NinjaTrader that do that automatically, but I just built it into my spreadsheet. Um, so once I know my tick value and my contracts that I'm going to put on, um, like 1 minute before the market makes this opening range, I will go to my ORB long order that I have set up, and I will enter the order quantity that the calculator told me to do. And above the market, I will right click. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before you even do any of that, you want to make sure your OCO orders are on, which is one closes the other. You're going to right click on your chart trader and make sure this is checked. And you'll get this OCO box, green box up here. So then you're going to right click and put a buy stop market in, and then you have to change it to your short order side and right click, making sure your contract quantity is right, and right click below the market and do sell stop market. Um, so those are your entry orders. Once the 9:45 rolls around, I will move these stops, buy stop or sell stop orders directly to these lines um, as my entry. And when one of them fills, it'll automatically close the other one out. So it'll only take one direction. Once that happens, I will move this projection to, if it's the long side like it did this morning, I'll just move this up, sorry, so that my entry becomes my entry, and I'll move my stop to my stop and my target to my projected target, and then I just let it play out. I gotta close these out before I forget.
Order canceled.
And then based on what happens, I log all this other stuff in here. So I have the date, the day of the week, link to this actual TradingView chart that I use, copy the link so I can always reference that trade in the future. Then I have if it fired long and at what time it fired and so forth. And then all these other columns automatically calculate out based on my maximum risk. My maximum reward that was achieved that day. So a 2 means that it achieved a 2R that day, whereas a 1 it only achieved 1R and so forth. And it automatically figures out if it won or lost on those other R values based on this column. So going back to the dashboard, this is where that information comes into play because I have the win rate overall for 1R, 1.5R, and 2R, and then I also have it by day of the week. So as you can see, if I wanted to put on a 2R trade, the Thursday would be the best to try that, whereas Tuesdays are the worst, and Tuesday overall is really not that great so far at all. So this has kind of helped me in the future as I put on more trades and collect more data to determine what is my target going to be, or maybe I needed to avoid that day altogether. So that's why I'm collecting this. This information down here, um, I'm trying to make these accounts last for the long haul. I don't want to keep blowing accounts, and especially the PA accounts, I want to keep them. So I know what my win rate is, 73%. So if I go to my matrix here, this tells you an approximate chance of seeing X number of consecutive losses in a row based on your win rate. So I'm at 75% win rate for the 1R, and I'm trying to stick below a 5% chance of that happening. So anywhere in here, the chances of seeing 6 losing trades in a row is only 1%. So my account should survive 6 losing trades in a row if I want to make it through the worst case scenario. So what I'm doing here is taking this win rate percentage, and I have a formula um, in this box that has an index and a bunch of other stuff. that's basically going to this matrix and figuring out the win rate, what percentage is less than 5% in this row, and then selecting the number of trades from up here to determine what number of trades I need to be able to survive. And then it's dividing the maximum drawdown by that number to get my adjusted like max risk that I should be putting on, and it calculates that here. So to survive 6 losing trades in a row, I really need to be under $420 worth of risk. And then that $420 is used to automatically fill in um, the amount I'm risking over here, which is why this column also says 420. And it's also used to figure in my calculator. So this calculator, I mean, it's taking $425 or $420, and then it's dividing it by $1.25, which is one tick of MES. So that figures out the tick value for that move, and then it also figures out some other stuff to get that MES quantity here. And all of this updates automatically based on my win rate, basically. If the win rate drops, the risk will drop, and so forth. Um, so far, this has been working pretty good. I have had 9 wins in a row, 2 losses in a row, and it automatically calculates that too, based on the trade data. And then for P&L, this is just one account. This is, um, the 1R, the 1.5R, and the 2R columns. Keep in mind that the 1.5R and 2R columns are using less risk because they need to withstand more consecutive losses than the 1R column. So that's why these are actually less. Um, and then I also have this tracking the win rate of each strategy over time. So if it ever drops or goes up in a trend like fashion, I can look back at the market and see what was going on and maybe come up with strategies in the future on how to play with that um, or avoid that situation if it comes up again. But that's kind of where I'm at with this. And I mean, if people like this and uh, you're interested in it, I can probably share this with everybody. If you're looking for a strategy that you can do daily, and if you don't have a lot of time from because of work and so forth, but I think that this could maybe help you out. I'm not an expert by any means, and I am definitely not a good trader. So that's why I had to come up with this. I mentally can't do it on my own. I always make the wrong decisions. So this strategy is like I probably mentioned before, a binary event. It's if it breaks out one direction, I'm taking that direction, and if it works, if it works, I mean, if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. I'm going to take that one trade and move on. And then over time, I mean, these numbers and percentages and chances and probabilities will help me stay in check and not deviate from my plan. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully, I didn't ramble too much. I tried to keep it somewhat short. Have a good day.